Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and welcome to my rant on the Incredible Crew. Wait a minute, no, I did the Incredible Crew. Um, Hang on a sec. Oh, wouldn't you know it? The name of this show is Awesomeness TV. I'm sorry, I don't know how I could have confused the two. I mean, it's not like both of them are a really sad attempt at a network trying to be hip and cool with internet-based hyper comedy that they think is hilarious and anyone with a sense of humor finds incredibly insulting. uh, but seriously, guys, this show and the Incredible Crew are pretty much twins, right down to the stupid, ironic titles. This is gonna seem random, but I have a point. Has anyone seen the movie or the musical, The Producers? It's about this big shot producer who decides one day that he should make a play that is really, really bad and pocket all of the money that he raised for the musical and basically run off with it. So, run a big scam. I like to imagine that's what the CEO of Nickelodeon or Viacom or whoever's in charge is doing with Nickelodeon. Maybe they bet against Nickelodeon in some weird gambling ring and then are doing their very best to try and run the channel into the ground. Because the only way that I can see this show coming into existence is if someone at Nickelodeon was like, man, The Incredible Crew's a bad show. I bet you we can make one that's even worse. Because somehow, this show is worse than The Incredible Crew. I know what you're thinking. How is that possible? Well, for one, the show hasn't been canceled yet. In fact, Nickelodeon actually ordered 7 more episodes in the middle of season 1. Also, and this is just miraculous, but somehow this show's production values are even worse than The Incredible Crew. And you know why that is? Because the show is based on a YouTube channel. It's actually based upon this YouTube channel that's like a partnered program type dealy that has a bunch of partners that produce content for the network or whatever. And this show is partially some of that and partially some new created content. So, it's not like they're emulating bad YouTube videos, it's just that they are bad YouTube videos. And this show has a laugh track! Oh yes, that's exactly what your horribly unfunny thing needs, a laugh track. But this is no ordinary laugh track, no. This laugh track finds every word anyone ever says absolutely hilarious. And at first, I did a little digging because, the laugh track just seems a bit strange in how overused it is, even for a laugh track based show, and it's also doesn't seem like the stock laugh track that's usually used. It seems like maybe this was filmed in front of someone, but the way it's shot, and I can't find any information saying that it was filmed in front of anyone, just confuses me. It's like it's bad even for a laugh track. Like, in laugh track quality standards, this is worse than the typical laugh track. The people laughing don't even find it that funny. That's the thing. The laughter sounds like it's about 3 people laughing. At least with your typical canned laughter, it sounds like a whole bunch of people. This just sounds like some sad pity laughs. And because they use it so much, they have to fade it in and fade it out, so it just seems even more phony. Although, like I said, there's something particularly awful about this that really makes me want to think it was filmed in front of an audience of 100 people, and, the producer's daughter was sitting in the audience and was told to laugh at everything, and no one else laughed. I said it before, but I really hate these desperate attempts to try and seem hip and trendy. I mean, yeah, I'll occasionally chuckle when 90s Are All That does something like have a memorial weekend and Cartoon Network puts up some memes. It's good for a laugh if it's used in small amounts, but to devote entire shows based around trendy things like Twitter and Snapchat and Facebook, it just seems very time sensitive, like it's gonna be dated in 10 years. It's also not very funny because jokes made about how much teenagers are on their cell phones or how everyone's taking pictures of themselves and Snapchatting or whatever, those jokes have been made. Those jokes have been made a million times over. It's like trying to make fun of Twilight. Like, Everyone's done it before. Every joke has already been made. Everyone has taken a pot shot at these social media sites and these kind of trendy hip jokes, quote unquote. It's just, there's not even a point because they were barely funny to begin with, and now seeing Nickelodeon's regurgitation of Cartoon Network's regurgitation of what some studio head thinks is what kids act like and kids find modern and hip is just ridiculous. Also, you'll notice that I've been using the word hip, which in fact is not trendy, which just tells you about how much out of touch I am with today's youth. So who's behind this show, you might ask? Well, it's a guy named Brian Robbins, who's a film director who's directed such movies as Meet Dave and Norbit. Yeah, he doesn't exactly have the best credits listed, although he has also directed Good Burger, which, well, maybe it's not necessarily a good movie, strictly speaking, but it makes a great guilty pleasure at the very least. And get this, the guy also directed All That, apparently. Yeah, it says he directed All That, although it says unknown episodes, so I don't know, maybe he didn't. Oh, and the show actually has a bunch of wraparound segments that are hosted by Daniela Monet? Oh, she doesn't deserve to have it pronounced correctly. I don't know. She seems really nice, but someone at Nickelodeon must really dislike her, or maybe her agent or something, because she's Tootie in the live-action Fairly OddParents movies. She replaced Jeanette McCurdy's character in the Fred movies. Yeah, Jeanette McCurdy has a smart move on that. And she was in a few episodes of the Naked Brothers Band. So she keeps winding up in, like, all of the worst Nickelodeon TV movies and shows. Although, apparently she stars in Victorious, but I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I've never seen that show. Oh, and these wraparound segments, man, they're just abominable. Like, the background and the way that she pops from, like, closer to the foreground to further in the background, left and right of screen, she pops around like she's internet vlogging, and like the style right down to the background almost looks like a carbon copy of Equals 3, or at least the last time I watched that show. And the comedy is just so unfunny and cliche. Like, you would make Dan Schneider roll his eyes. I mean, there's a gag where she loses her memory because she's hit in the head with a book, and it's just like, it's like they're not even jokes. It's just like they're mandatory little cliches that are just trying very, very hard to be funny, to spice up the scenes where the other stereotypical jokes aren't happening. It just, the wraparound isn't even really necessary. I suppose I should talk about some of the sketches. Well, it's not just sketches, actually, because there's some of it that's hidden camera footage. Yeah, much like Incredible Crew, they did these stupid hidden camera quote-unquote pranks. The one I saw was these kids going to the supermarket asking random people if they can find something for them. And it's a stupid thing like donut-flavored deodorant or like Jelly Bob sandwiches or something. Like, some of them are just random words strung together. And every time the people are like, oh, I don't think that exists. And it's just awkward. Like, nothing funny happens. I don't understand how this got put to air. Like, I wouldn't put this on YouTube, right? But apparently you'd put it on YouTube and you'd put it on primetime Nickelodeon television, because that's how low their standards are. Seriously, these are just absolutely not funny and really awkward to watch. I don't even really call them pranks. They're more just like semi-harassing people with no funny results whatsoever. So one of the sketches I saw was Terry the Tomboy, and apparently whoever made this didn't realize that tomboy and hillbilly do not mean the same thing, because it's really a show about a hillbilly girl, but I don't know, maybe that was too offensive for hillbillies or something. Anyway, the sketch was that she was in detention, and I don't know, she was telling kids about how not to be in detention and trying to impress this other, like, 30-year-old that was in detention, has been in detention for decades. It's stupid. But the one thing that really dug into me was the fact that they do a fourth wall break and say, I don't think you're supposed to have these cameras in detention, and look at that lighting setup. It's fairly professional. No, your lighting is terrible. Like, I'm just a lowly film student, so what do I know? But you got a double shadow in the background and your face is glowing. Your lighting is terrible. And that's a recurring theme throughout the sketches. That's probably the biggest distraction from anything that may have been originally funny, is just the editing and cinematography is awful. Aside from the laugh tracks that are just always present, the editing is absolutely hyper. The camera cuts to the same thing. Like, you'll see a closer image of the person talking, and then it'll go back to a further out image and closer, and it seems very arbitrary. It's just like, well, you can't have 5 seconds of the same camera angle on, even if you have nothing to cut to. You just cut back to the same thing you were watching, but I don't know, 3 feet to the left? It's very arbitrary and very noticeably stupid. And apparently, whoever made that call does not think that their jokes are funny enough, or maybe thinks that the audience is too stupid and doesn't have enough of an attention span to focus on one thing for very long. I'm really pissed off at this show, and I'm happy I was able to avoid it up till now. The absolute most insane thing about it is that Nickelodeon should have known better. You saw what Cartoon Network did, and you decided to make your own show, and you decided to continue this show and add more episodes to it. You saw it flop on another network, and yet you decided to stick with the same stupid, terrible, unfunny idea. That is beyond stupid. That is a lemming walking off a cliff. That is someone seeing someone fail and then trying to copy the person that failed. Like, how stupid are you? Are you trying to fail? I'm pretty sure you are. I haven't gotten this angry in a very long time, guys. You know, it almost feels refreshing, like I'm back to the basics. I gotta find more shows that really do suck. I'm sure it won't be that hard. Well, I hope you enjoyed this rant at least. I have a headache now. Pieguyrulz, out.